what I've been realizing is that everything outside of alchemy is a distraction. But I know people will argue it, but it's a fucking distraction. That's what happened with Lucifer, right? He had everything. Or you could say in the Garden of Eden, Lucifer had, or Adam and Eve had everything, right? Life, bliss. So there was no want or need. There was no happiness, so that means there was no sadness, right? There was no evil, so there was no good. The tree of life, the bliss state, right? In the middle of everything. So we left because we ate or uploaded the program of the tree of knowledge. And knowledge ain't shit without true wisdom, right? So all this magic talk. What I'm doing tonight is magic, but it's actually just alchemy. So I'm going to take pure tin metal. Fortunately, Taos used to be a tin, like the tin haven of this country. But unfortunately for me, I found a bunch of little shops that just sell tin ornaments. Could have probably paid less for it, but whatever, if they weren't ornaments. But I'm taking tin metal and lead metal, and they're both pure, but I just put some tin inside of the crucible, and I'm gonna let that heat up for a bit. And while I do that, turn up the fire real quick. Get into the conversation of what is magic, right? It's like, well, magic, just like everything else, is a distraction from what is. Because the only times that we perform magical rituals are when we want something, when we want something, need something. It's not selfish, which is fine, right? You could go down that route of selfishness, but the thing about what I'm doing tonight is taking the energies of lead and Saturn, and I'll use my personal life as an example. My entire fucking life has been very Saturnian. Everything has been leading me to this very point of realization of everything that's Saturnian, right? It's a schedule, responsibility, discipline, or which is another word for technique, right? So I'm not trying to do anything here. I'm not trying to manifest anything. I'm not trying to make something come to me or anything like that. But I'm going to admit that throughout my life, because I've had so many hardships, blessings, but hardships, specifically around money and enjoying myself, right? It's very Saturnian, leading me to understand that archetype to the fullest. And I've been feeling this for this entire year, actually, that it's time for me to begin to enjoy myself. I'm not saying that I enjoy life, I just enjoy being. But I'm very cut and cold with myself, right? Gotta get shit done. Gotten really good at it. To a detriment, though, where it's almost, it's exactly, I don't know how to enjoy myself. Not that I don't know how to, it's just, if I enjoy myself, I'm thinking about, oh, this costs this much money, that costs that much money, this is taking up this much time, blah, 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 blah. I can't be Saturnian, right? To the point where I'm just this compressed, condensed, caving into my own weight, a curmudgeon. I can't be this grumpy old fart. I gotta enjoy myself. Now, enjoying life's leisures and pleasures comes with responsibility, because if it doesn't, that bitch will bite you in the ass every fucking time, right? And I've gone through my life, I've lived all the archetypes, right, throughout this particular life as Raven, and I've enjoyed myself. I didn't care. I blew all the fucking cash, I made it rain everywhere, but it wasn't an investment, it brought me nothing back. did nothing for me except I have a memory of these fun times. There's so many shit. So what I'm doing tonight and what I'm realizing about tonight is watching Jupiter with Saturn behind it in conjunction. There's an energy going on. I want to step away from the conversation of magic, because magic is the distraction of all distractions when we're not talking about alchemy. So by melting down this tin and this lead and conjuncting them together, I'm not doing this to manifest some shit. I'm not doing this to bring abundance and joy, but also structure. No. Because I already got the structure thing down. I get it. I got it. But I've been very fucking serious for like 7 years now. Super fucking serious. I can take a joke, but you know what I mean. So by doing this, again, I'm not trying to make some shit happen. I'm actually attuning myself with free will to what is already happening. So whether I do it or not, this will continue to happen. But something powerful will happen if I can consciously take my free will and join what the fuck is already happening, instead of trying to make shit come to me. I don't want to touch. I don't want to do sorcery. I don't want to do magic. Because I don't fucking need anything. Because at every single fucking given moment of my life, I have everything that I need. Really, it's everything that is. It's just being in alignment with everything. So my observation, my awareness, my intention are in alignment with my will, so that I can execute what is already happening anyways in the stars. What I'm doing tonight is doing the same fucking thing. I mean, I'm not in the lab, but the whole world is my lab anyways, right? So I'll give you guys a quick little, see if I can. So in there, I have tin metal. It's gonna be a minute. And then in here, I have lead. Now it looks like a lot more tin, but obviously lead is very, very heavy, right? But yeah. So what I'm doing tonight is taking tin, taking lead, and the reason I'm doing that is because it's just what's happening. Like I said, I'm not trying to make some shit happen. I'm not trying to make magic. I don't want anything. I don't need anything, you know? I'm just joining, I'm aligning myself with what already is going on, and that's it. It's dope. It's beautiful as fuck. It's gonna be a while for this tin to melt. The lead is definitely gonna melt a lot quicker, but I gotta do this away from my house, so I'm trying to balance talking to you guys, doing the magical ritual and not catch my house on fire or some shit. But yeah, this is pretty much what I wanted to share. It'll probably be a quick one, because I actually have to give my full attention to what's going on right now. But yeah, my last Instagram account, what I was doing, I got led astray by something. I've been trying to figure out this conversation about magic with a capital K. And it's constantly manipulating what's going on, which means there's a lack of security, which means there's a lack of trust, which means that there's a lack of knowing, which means there's a lack of knowledge, which means there's a lack of experience with nature itself. And this isn't about working with the spirits of nature and the fairies and all this stuff. It's cool. I went there, I did it, and I made stuff happen. Do you know why I made stuff happen? The same reason we all make shit happen, because we have free will to do whatever the fuck we want. And at any given moment that we're doing whatever we want, we're not doing anything wrong, because there can be no wrong. But there is a way, and then there's everything else. And the reason that alchemy is important is because it's the study of nature itself, not through physics, not through chemistry or organic chemistry or quantum physics or anything like that. If you really want to understand the language of nature, it's sitting with her and bringing her into the lab so that you can break her apart, these processes that she constantly has going on, and you can repeat them. That's all we do in the lab, right? Is we mimic, we imitate nature. That's it. Not because we want something, right? Can you make gold from lead? Yes. I shit you not. You can grow AU, gold crystals, pure gold crystals from lead. That's not important though. It's just what you do in a lab happens inside. And everyone walks around. I used to do the same thing. As above, so below. As within, so without. What the fuck does it mean though? And it's like, well, the only thing that I've found that actually makes sense is the laboratory alchemy. Not the philosophical shit. Not spirituality. Spirituality is spirit. Spirit is mind. Mind is Mercury, Hermes. It's the mind. It's the science. It's the practice of the mind. The mind figuring out the mind. Who cares? Who cares? We don't... Why? That sounds... what's insane? You keep doing the same shit over and over again, expecting a different outcome. And yet, here we are still using fossil fuels. Still using electricity. Still using... copper wires to bring this shit to our houses and all this shit, right? And easy to forget that to be initiated is only the beginning, right? And the initiation itself is through alchemy. You don't need to join the Rosicrucians and the Masons. No offense to them, they're cool. But you don't need to join a group. You don't need to be a Wiccan or you don't need to be anything. I'm not an alchemist. I'm just here. And I look at nature and I see her processes and I start to realize, okay, so I'm here to imitate what nature does, but accelerated. That's what the mind does. Mercury, right? Liquid mercury, the winged feet, the winged hats, right? So my thoughts and every movement are swift. Liquid mercury. The fastest fucking thing. Faster than light. Like, okay. So I know that when you smelt lead metal, when you're purifying it, you do get traces of gold. So inside of lead, there's gold. So lead has a lot of the foundations that it requires to turn into gold. But we don't want to turn lead to gold because gold is expensive or it's valuable. No, it's because some crazy fucking shit happens to you inside. And even with that, it goes further, right? So in 9 months, you can gestate by doing a bunch of processes to lead and have gold grow. And even after that gold starts to grow, you can have that gold multiply. But why? Because that's what nature does. But it says, 1,000 years, 10,000 years for a little speck of gold to show up in the earth. We do it in the lab. And the reason that we do these things in the lab while we're imitating nature and it happens so fast is because nature has a lot of distractions. Just like we have a lot of distractions. But if you extrapolate a process out of nature and bring it into the lab, then you're only doing that one process of the infinite processes that nature is doing, right? And you don't have the distractions that are going on. So when you find gold in nature, you'll find gold in nature with other metals, other minerals, right? But you don't find like giant slabs of gold crystals growing out. And the reason that you don't find nature is busy doing these other processes at the same time. So every single thing that we do in the lab, every single fucking thing that we do in the lab, nature's doing. The reason that everything sucks right now, our energy sources, right? Everything. Like, we don't need to build nuclear reactors for that kind of energy. You can make little stones in the lab that will produce more. but subtly. That's like beyond Tesla, right? Nikolai Tesla. Beyond his work. The Egyptians were working at a parameter that was so advanced that we just can't figure out. And some people say it's aliens or the Nephilim or the Watchers. I don't give a fuck. It's not. It was us. It was us the whole time. It's always been us the entire fucking time. But, and we're talking about power here, right? Magic is a game of power. Believe it or not. You want something, you need something, and you're forcing it. You're forcing nature to do something else outside of the parameters of how she functions. That's rude as fuck. It's fine if you do it, but it's rude as fuck. I had to realize this. I tore down all of my magical shit. I was like, wait. Because for me, manifestation never fucking worked. I was just like, well, what the fuck? I'll have like a girlfriend that just writes something for the first time ever. I have $1,000. That bitch gets $1,000 in like a week. I'm like, dude, what the fuck am I doing wrong? It's like, I'm not doing anything wrong. God, the universe, nature, whatever you want to call it, was like, not for you, Raven. We have other plans for you. It's like, yeah, but I'm just like, I'm broke. I need to fix my car. I need food, blah, blah, blah. But everything that I would ever require, need, it just always came to me. Everything. It's like, I didn't have to actually burn a candle. I can if I want to. But when I start to look at this alchemical stuff, I'm realizing all that I'm doing is actually playing exactly with what's going on. At the same moment, I can force nature to give to me, but why? When every single aspect of nature, whether it's a rock, it's dirt, it's parasites, it's water, it's the elementals, whatever it is, not only are they alive and conscious, but they're fully sentient as well. We're just the ones that were gifted something really, really special out of all of nature, out of all of God's creations. Man, humans, were his greatest creation. It was a gift to nature that she was able to bring us here, birth us here, so that we can do what? To take potential, which is nature, the gross matter, extrapolate from it, and repeat, imitate these processes and accelerate them so fucking fast. It's ridiculous. All this idea that humans need and want and all this shit, people are hungry and they're dying, they're sick. It's like, well, yeah, that's what happens when you walk away from the garden, when you leave the tree of life to go and venture off into ideas of knowledge. That's what turns polarity into duality. Instead of two ends of the one thing, the duality comes and turns into this idea of opposing opposites, where nothing is opposite. It's all just expressions of the one thing. It's like, okay, cool. Well, then I've got my life figured out. Like my whole life trying to figure out, like, I could have been a huge musician. God was like, no, that's not what we want you for. I'm the kind of person that whatever I put my attention to, it's miraculous. It's amazing. But these things never worked out because it was like, no, something else. Like, really? Yeah, I want to be an actor? No, that's not going to work out either. It's like, really? Like, what am I supposed to do with my life? I've been doing it this entire time, except now I can actually apply it in the lab. And I've had so many fucking people tell me, nah, dude, you don't have to do the lab work, man. It's all philosophical. It's all there. You know, all of it is like a metaphor and an allegory, because what you're doing in the lab happens inside. Do you grow spiritually doing this lab work? Of course. Is it about spirituality? No. Because everything that Mercury creates is impure. That's what we call the external reality, the gross matter. Everything that nature creates is impure. It's got impurities in it. That's why we take things into the lab. I'm not saying these impurities are bad. A lot of the times, even in mineral works, you want the impurities. They act like bridges from one thing to another, but eventually you do have to get rid of them. You wind up getting rid of them. They're just distractions. Now, the impurities did create something, but it's still impure. It's still part of the gross matter. That's why you look at the 12 astrological signs. You could attune them to the 12 alchemical processes, right? Sublimation, separation, fermentation, blah, blah, blah. Without identifying with it, like I'm a Virgo Libra, but that doesn't mean that my entire life is about sublimation and I forgot the other one. It's just being aware that you are all of it. And when we start to work with the plants, you start to realize like, oh, I see. Every plant has every single planetary correspondence to it. But every plant has its own soul. So they have certain quantities of certain archetypes that are more abundant than the others, right? That's a plant. When we start getting into minerals, it becomes less so. But then when we get to the metals, pure metals, then you're just working with the raw archetype, right? So plants can buffer, they can be band-aids for diseases, illnesses, and whatever the fuck. But it doesn't get to the core of the issue that needs to be addressed. When you get to the minerals, now we're really fucking talking. It's not that the minerals are better than plants or the metallics. No. You start with the plants. You make your one full alchemical spagyric from a plant. The reason you do this is because there are keys that you gain and you unlock other keys, other doorways that use you. It's like a door that you use the key to get in, and when you open a door, there's another fucking table with another fucking key. But there's a little obstacle course, which is just a learning opportunity, right? Learning experience, and you grab that key. It's like, cool, you have the key, but you don't even know that you have the key. Keep fucking doing these things, and you repeat the fucking labor over and over and over again. You start to realize like, oh, this is allowing me to learn how to create a certain type of solvents. The alchemists were known as the fire philosophers, meaning that they mastered fire. But fire isn't just fire like a flame. Fire comes in many different ways. It comes as electricity, as friction, anything that produces heat, right? When you're fermenting a plant, fire is happening in there. There's heat being produced in there. That's why things bubble up. The same way that when you put water into a pot and you turn on the heat, it bubbles up as well. Same fucking shit. But the same thing if you take glacial acetic acid, hydrochloric acid, right? A really base, like at the ends. You stick your hand in there, that's fire. It burns your fucking organic cells, right? Like that's fire. You start to learn all these things. And as you progress from the plants to the minerals, there is shit that you're going to learn in the minerals that are going to bring you back to the plants, because there's new ways that you can extract things from plants and process the plants. So if you made rosemary spagyric 5 years ago, you make rosemary spagyric now after going into the mineral realm. Yo, your spagyric of rosemary is going to be insane. And then by the time you get to the metallic realm, there are things that you're going to learn in the metallic realm that you're going to apply going backwards into the mineral realm. I'm sure you guys can see where I'm getting at with this, right? And it's like, then everything about humanity is bullshit. This is my conclusion. Obviously I'm not telling you to subscribe to it, but I was like, holy shit. What about the idea of love? Like, it all is love. That's it. It just is. That's it. So I don't have to tell anyone that I love them. I don't have to show anyone that I love them, because just me opening my eyes first thing in the fucking morning, that's love. The fact that I exist, the fact that I am pretending to be Raven, the fact that I am, that's love. That is it. That is it. And so all of a sudden the conversations about magic, quantum physics, aliens, our ancient history, I'm burning it in the fucking furnace. They're just distractions. But it's really difficult to understand that you are distracted when your distractions are caused by your own delusions. And it is nearly impossible to tell someone that they're delusional. And you don't want to tell anyone that, right? You have to respect everyone's processes and shit. But when they come into my sphere, it's just truth. The one truth, and that's all that matters. It's like, yeah, I cannot produce anything authentic if I don't do this work first. If I want to be a singer, if I want to be a painter, if I want to do any fucking thing in this world, it's always going to be corrupt. Just like everything in nature, it's going to be gross. It doesn't mean that I'm going to do alchemy and that's what I do and it's just the thing and that's how I make my money. And no, it just means that this discipline, this technique that I'm doing with nature and myself at the same time, right? Simultaneously, those lessons that I learned from there will affect the being that I am. It will affect everything that I think, that I say, everything that I touch. It's the idea of King Midas. Everything you touch turns to gold, that kind of thing. But everything you do, everything you think, every thought that you have, every song that you write, every vow, everything that comes from you will be gold. The golden consciousness, the king, which doesn't mean shit until it exalts itself in the heart, which is an anagram for the word earth, heart. It's like, cool. I get to come back into this world, baptized by the purity, the raw power, the honesty, and the truth of alchemy. And anything outside of that is bullshit. All of it. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's my lie. I made this. The whole thing, right? It's my lie. It's Lucifer getting pretty arrogant and like, nah, bro, Dad, I'm fucking out. I'm doing whatever the fuck I want. That's the story of the mind. That's just what it does. But everything goes right back home. And that's where we are fucking going. So there's nothing to fucking think about. There's nothing to worry about. There's nothing to actually fucking do. You are already here. And that's it. That's it. It's beautiful. So all the mantras, all the breath techniques, those are cool. But like, and I'm not shit on them. I did them. It got me nowhere. I'll do something in the lab for a week or a weekend. I wake up the next morning, I'm just like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened? I actually have to like dig through my memory bank of like the week before. It's like, dude, I'm not the same person that I was on Friday and it's Monday. I'm not the same person. And I know this because I look at everything that I do, I've done, the way that I perceive, my perception completely changes. The way that I look at everything completely changes. It's like, okay, well, then I have nothing else to figure out. Like, no, I don't even need to figure out nature. That's the funny part too. Why would I try to figure out something that already is and that I already am? It's now more of watching and remembering the thing that I forgot and that I forget every single lifetime. I jump into these time zones, timelines. I jump into these dimensions, these realities. And of course, you have to forget everything. That's why you play the game. You forget to remember the Ouroboros. You eat your tail. Then you come to this singularity point of remembering everything. And you decide, yeah, I did the alchemy. The immortal thing. You can live forever because you can't die because you were never alive, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, let me check on this tin. It's red hot, it's not melting. But, turn up the heat. Yeah. But yeah. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys for joining. But yeah, just to recap everything, I'm melting lead and tin because that's what's happening outside. I'm not doing it because I need or want or should. I got a really good friend up in the French Alps, and yeah, we've talked about this magic shit, and no, I'm not reducing it for more. It's pure tin and pure lead that I've already processed myself. And Why am I doing it? Not because of fucking magic. Not because I'm fucking want something or need it or trying to, no. It's just because I'm taking my free will. This guy right here, Raven, my child, my son, I'm showing him, and he's finally catching the fuck up with what's going on. And that's it. Because why would I want anything when I have every fucking thing? Modern medicine, modern technology is fucking primitive as shit. It's like we just got out of the cave and just built the fucking wheel out of a fucking rock. That's where we still are. We have these powerful fucking iPhones and shit like that, and yet we're still, it's like, no, man. Everything outside of us that's man-made is just a substitution for what we already are. Everything. It's like, cool. And I've had a few people asking, like, well, then what's your advice? I'm like, well, advice? I don't know, dude. Well, what'd you do? What do you, I'm like, do the fucking lab work. Just fucking do it. Stop spending your money on all these crystals that are sitting around your fucking house. Doing what? They're pure intelligence. Pure potential. That's chaos. Potential. It's just something waiting for you to actually do something with it. Spending thousands of dollars like I've done throughout the last 7 years, just thousands of dollars on all these beautiful, and don't get me wrong, I'm not destroying them all in the fire. I keep some of them, they're fucking beautiful. But put them to actual use, and that alone shows true, that to me is the expression of true love. I want to understand you so much. I want to learn so much from you. I want to actually imitate you. That to me is like the example of the alchemy behind theater. The same fucking thing, but without the lab work, without the actual lab work, you'll never achieve the apex of that understanding. Because I want to be you. That's what I want to do. I want to be you, but in order for me to be you, I have to understand everything about you. That means that I have to go beyond your ideas and thoughts and desires and pleasures and wants and needs and shit like that. I want to actually understand you. How does consciousness relate to matter? The mind, right? So utilizing the mind so that the observer consciousness could witness everything that the mind can procure from nature, matter. How does consciousness relate to matter? How do you relate to something? You listen first. I want to know everything about you. I want to know how you function. I want to know how you breathe, why you breathe. I want to know how everything in your body does what it does and why it does it. That's fucking love. I can write a love poem right out of it, and it'll sound romantic as fuck, and it is. But I'm talking about life itself, not work, not money, not things, not people, not interpersonal relationships that are all based on lies or delusions, right? But actually the thing that's been here before we showed up in this scene, the nature. And not trying to understand the spirits or the spirituality of nature, actually understanding nature, how and why she does things. The why is just because it is. But once you start to bring all these things into the lab and actually applying them, it all starts to make sense. You don't have to do shit. Honestly, like if you make the oil of lead, you can, by the time you have made and you have in a jar your oil of lead, what that lead was going to do for you, it's already been done. The only thing that's going to happen when you take it is that your cells, the material body, are going to catch up, and some crazy fucking drastic dramatic changes are going to happen to your full fucking being. But the spirituality part of it, the conscious part of it, is only going to occur through the lab work. You don't have to study anything. You don't have to study the ancient alchemists, and no. It's just paying attention to how these things happen in nature, paying attention to how these things happen in the lab. Once you start to separate, purify, burn, kill, destroy everything that was not necessary to that specific process, then you recombine things together, let them digest. You still need to use time, right? Mercury, time. And you bring it in. Your body is the last one that catches up with everything that's happening. It's like, magic. It's fucking beautiful. But yeah, so I hope that was cool. Love you guys. I'm gonna do more of these really, really soon. But I really gotta pay attention to Saturn and 10 over here. Get that fire going, yeah. I love you guys. Ciao.